Hi everyone, in this video I'll be explaining how a rent to own scheme works. It is a smart way to start owning a home while you are still paying rent without waiting forever to save for a full deposit, especially if you have always wanted to own a property but you feel like raising the full amount is just not realistic right now. So what exactly is the rent to own scheme? In simple terms, it's an arrangement where you live in a property as a tenant, but with the option to buy it later. And the interesting part is that a portion of what you are paying is not just going to the landlord. It's being set aside towards owning that property. So instead of just renting and spending money without building anything, you are gradually working your way into ownership while already living in the house. One of the biggest challenges people usually face is saving up a large amount to buy a home outright. You are paying rent, handling responsibilities, and before you know it, savings become difficult. But with rent to own, you don't need to wait until everything is perfect. You can move in, start living in the property, and at the same time start building towards owning it. It gives you a more flexible and realistic path into ownership, and it is not just beneficial for tenants only. It also works for property owners and developers. Instead of having different tenants coming in and coming out, you are dealing with someone who already has an interest in owning the property. That alone changes how the property is treated, and at the same time, the owner is earning rental income while gradually securing a buyer. Now, let's talk about how this usually works. Once you find a property and you and the owner agrees on a price, sometimes the price is based on the current market value, and other times it's a price agreed for the future. From there, a monthly rent is agreed, and within that rent, a certain portion is set aside and counted towards the purchase of the property. There's also a time frame attached to it, usually a few years, which you are expected to decide if you want to complete the purchase. So over the time, as you are paying, you are gradually building equity in that property. Let me make this more relatable. Imagine a property is valued at 30 million naira and you enter a rent to own agreement where you are paying 200,000 naira monthly. Out of that amount, 100,000 naira is being credited towards the purchase. As time goes on, that money accumulates. After a few years, you have already contributed a significant part of the purchase price, and then you complete the remaining balance and become the full owner. So instead of trying to raise everything at once, you are building towards it step by step. Now, even though this sounds very straightforward, this is where you need to be careful. Everything must be properly documented. The agreed price, the rent structure, the portion going towards the ownership, the time frame. Everything needs to be clearly written in a legal agreement. You also need to be sure that the property is genuine and that the person giving you that agreement actually have the right to sell it. At the same time, it is really important to understand how responsibilities are shared. During that period, who handle maintenance, who is responsible for repairs? These are small details that can become big problems if they are not clearly defined. Another thing people don't pay attention to is what happens if things don't go as planned. If for any reason you cannot continue with the agreement, what happened to the money you have already contributed? Is it refundable or do you lose it? These are the kind of things you need to understand before committing. Let's look at another simple scenario. Someone wants to own a 3-bedroom apartment but doesn't have the full amount upfront. Instead of waiting for years, they went for a rent to own scheme. They moved into the property and start paying monthly, while part of that payment builds towards ownership. Over time, they have already secured a portion of the property value, and when they are ready, they complete the balance and become the owner. It removes that pressure of trying to gather a huge amount at once while still making progress. But let me be very clear, rent to own scheme is not a shortcut. You still need to be disciplined with your payment, understand the agreement properly, and make sure you are protecting yourself legally. You also need to be sure that the property you are committing to makes sense in the terms of value. You won't want to lock yourself into something that won't hold or increase its value over time. At the end of the day, rent to own scheme is a strategic option. It works well for people who cannot afford the full payment upfront, and also people who want to experience living in a property before committing to it, and people who need time to structure their finances while still moving forward. It also works for property owners who want consistent income while gradually securing a buyer. So instead of seeing rent as something that just goes, rent to own scheme give you a way to turn it into something meaningful if it's done the right way. And if you are considering a rent to own scheme and you want to do it properly, understand everything involved and avoid costly mistakes, you can always reach out to us. We will guide you through it step by step, because at the end of the day, the goal is not just rent, it's to move forward and eventually own.